We'll be hearing about leveraging technology to boost your farming operation. We've got two presenters that'll be speaking to us. Steve MacLean is a senior manager at MNP Digital. Drawing on more than 30 years of experience, Steve has a proven track record helping organizations through the complex process of digital evolution. With a background in business analysis and systems implementation, Steve possesses a deep understanding of the technology landscape and how it can be leveraged to drive business growth and innovation. Our second presenter will be John Temple, is a business advisor at MNP's Hutterite Services team in Brandon and Russell. John helps clients in a variety of industries, including agriculture, manufacturing, real estate, and construction with all aspects of their operations so that they can achieve continued success. John clearly explains complex situations and concepts, ensuring his clients have the knowledge they need to make the best decisions for their operations. John earned a business administration diploma from ACC in 2008 and a Bachelor of Business Administration with great distinction from Brandon University in 2010. He's a chartered professional accountant, qualifying as a chartered accountant in 2013. So I will welcome them to the stage. Yeah, so front and back, and there's a pointer at the top.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Done a good job of our intros, probably best intro we've had ever, but here we are. Thanks for joining us. Before we start, who knows what this is? Some weird green eggs and ham or something? Anyone want to shout it out? This is a first generation Starfire receiver that John Deere made for their tractors. Who got that right? One of you. And it's probably, this is 30 years ago. I don't even know if you're around when that came out. So it's something that the impact...
It's not Starlink?
Starfire, yeah, similar. So there's been some big changes in farm technology over the last several years. What would the impact of a device like this been on farming? How many farms operate without a GPS? How many of you would want to farm without one? Could you afford wasting the inputs if you didn't have one, right? Overlap of a couple inches, not maybe a meter, right? Huge impact. So it's something like this that every so often comes along and has a transformative effect on an industry. Nowadays, we're seeing it more and more ever than ever before. And so everyone has a phone in their hand or a phone in their pocket. The rate of change that we're seeing with digital transformation is speeding up. There's things that we haven't had for more than 10 years, right? Like everyone's probably played around with TikTok, ordered something on Amazon, posted something on Instagram. Even the word Google didn't exist before 2006. It became a word that was actually put in a dictionary back then. So we're seeing things are changing in society and business that affect the way we do what we do, the way we live. And as a business or as an agribusiness or as a farmer, as someone in society that is going to participate with this, it's challenging to keep up. There's an inherent kind of latency. Sometimes it's fear, sometimes it's you don't know what next to do. It costs a lot of money sometimes to change the technology you bring into your business. I'm sure that first-gen Starfire thing wasn't cheap, right? You had to come up with the funds, had to figure out how to plan that, how to weave it into your operation, how to make the system work, trial, error, early adopters, etc. When we're looking at this, there's always that embedded where are you at in a business trying to adopt technology. If we look at a bit of a survey, despite the need to change, a lot of businesses are reluctant to. There's 6% are ready to. They're ready to take on that next phase. They're ready to make that transformation, bring it into their business. 14% are ready to grow their amount of IT that they have and what they use in their business to make things, better, service their customers better, produce better, be more efficient with their inputs. But if we look at that kind of line share in the middle there, 40%, 34%, both, 3/4 of the people are not quite ready to do much You know, they might use IT to support what they do, keep things the same. They've already got a certain equipment set. They don't want to make any big changes. Yet the rate of change and what's changing around them is continuing to go. So there's risks. There's risks you fall behind. An extreme example of this, we'll try and guess the business with this. What happens if you can't keep up with that rate of change as a business? You walk around the show here and you see all the latest and greatest things. Things that you go, wow, one day, right? Drone spraying, everyone's got their fields mapped. It's all this, you know, the amount of stuff that is affecting farmers is unbelievable. People who are in ag or related to ag are all feeling it as well. Every business is in it. This is an example that isn't ag related, but is always one of the most telling. So just shout it out if you think of who it is. Right. So it's something that in many of our generations, we've seen this come and go, right? We don't want to experience the same things that they did. There was a lot of reluctancy. They didn't want to transform. They didn't want to adopt that technology. They made a lot of money. Why would they change it? They had an equipment set. They had systems. They had people in place. They had an organizational structure and management. Everything was kind of rolling, right? And then the ground changed beneath them. Competitive services, technology leaps, more efficient way of doing business, how to cut down costs, consumer preferences changing. All of that starts to affect them. So they didn't have a plan that would adopt this. They didn't have a plan that would manage with this. They had an opportunity to take over Netflix, but they didn't. They had blinders on, right? And that happens. That's inherent. We see it with, you know, we've experienced it. We've had clients that have experienced it. You get blind to something. So every so often in life, you got to take a step back and take a big kind of look at what is going on, where are we at with this, how do we think it'll affect us, and plan into those changes. So today, we're going to get into some of that and the best structure and ways around it. So I'll turn it over to Steve to talk through a few of the elements.
Thanks, John. So digital transformation refers to the steps undertaken to change how organizations how organizations have their tasks, their procedures, their processes, and that are outdated, ineffective, and costly in nature, into methods that are far more automated, productive, and profitable. If we go back and look at the Blockbuster example, like they didn't embrace any of that stuff. You know, and they didn't embrace. They were stuck on a business model of renting videos, and then when the paradigm changed, you've got the streaming services. Netflix has come out, Crave's come out, where you can just pick up the remote control and pick your own TV from your couch. They didn't embrace that, and they're out of business. So I, for one, I don't know if I benefited from Netflix. I think it was a lot skinnier when I had to get up and walk over to Blockbuster. But to build, the steps, the first step that you need to take to embrace digital transformation is to develop a digital transformation strategy. Just like you've got plans on your farms or doing crop plans every year, the first thing you really need is to start with a strategy, start with a plan. And there's 4 key steps that we need to take to do that. The first step is the assessment. So you understand where the farm is today, understand its strengths, its weaknesses, the skills and the infrastructure, and the capabilities. The second is to prioritize, identify high-value opportunities to target, and match them with the level of change that the business can tolerate. The third step is to strategize, create a fit-for-purpose strategy tailored to farm, really to figure out what you want to do. How do you improve your operations? The fourth step is actually, develop a roadmap to determine what you're going to purchase, determine what the costs are, determine what's the order that you're going to do things. So what steps do we need to take? Develop a plan and a schedule. So all this is really important in developing, the transformation strategy. When we're doing the strategy, When we do these assessments, we look at the capabilities of the business. And this is, every business has got different capabilities, but this is, for example, I've got 4 here. This business has got 4 key capabilities. It's operations, it's got the digital foundations, how the computer systems are running, the back office, and customer relationships. So operations, you're going to look at it as there are different opportunities for upgrading equipment, upgrading to technologies, to look to improve operational efficiencies, capturing and consolidating of data into dashboards and analytics. So being able to report on having analytics so you can make better decisions on how you're going to be running your operation, and looking for opportunities to automate processes that are very manual. We look at the digital foundations, internet connectivity, lots of changes in that in the last couple of years with satellite internet becoming readily available and really effective. Integration of different systems together so you don't have to have dual entry and information be shared between the different software systems or platforms that are being used. Cybersecurity is something we really focus on. Cybersecurity is a major issue that everybody should be concerned about. You probably, most of you are probably seeing a lot of phishing attempts are coming into your emails, and we see, M&P, we've got clients coming in every week, with asking us for help because they've been a victim of cyber fraud. How are you going to manage your digital files and your cloud adoption? A lot of organizations are moving away from having on-premise equipment and moving everything to be completely operated in the cloud. And then we look at the back office. What type of finance and ERP accounting systems are you running? How are you tracking your sales, your profit and loss? If you've got employees, how are you training them? And then supply chain and inventory management, how's that being done? And then the customer relationship management, business direct to customer, how's all that being managed? And are those areas, can all those different areas, can technology help with each of those areas?
And it can be overwhelming looking at this. You go, where are we going to start, right? It all costs a lot of money. You don't know what's the highest impact. You don't want to go and do something constructively and then find out, oh, I should have done this in a different order and bought this piece of equipment because it talks to another piece of equipment, servers, etc. Like it's a lot for managing a farm and managing an agribusiness that is pulling in all of these different elements. Or if you're at some area on the transit of this, what's that next step that you need to take with the highest impact? It's intimidating. And oftentimes that's where we go back to that prior slide where people are reluctant to make a change or make that leap and they're kind of happy where they are, or not really happy, but unwilling to change and undertake that transformation. That's where they get overwhelmed and stuck. So one of the best remedies is a plan.
So some of the common industry solutions that we recommend, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but for crops, we look at farm management systems are key. Pivot management, leveraging analytics that are being captured in the field. Livestock management systems, for example, feed tracking, sales tracking, all that type of stuff. And then digital foundations. What are you doing for your computer hardware and software? How are you doing connectivity? Is data being backed up and managed effectively? And
if you go through the exhibitor list here at Ag Days, we pretty much pick off any number of these service providers that exist and that are here, right? So as you're talking with these different people who provide these different solutions and different things, it's all well and good, but do they all talk to their neighbors? Do they work with one another? Are they considering the bigger picture? And so that burden often relies on you to do that large-scale enterprise planning, come up with what that next investment is. And sometimes you go, I don't know if I'm going to pony up the cash for that because I don't see how it's going to fit. I don't see how that's going to work. And these are all really wonderful innovations and things that have been happening quickly. And year to year, as you come to Ag Days, you see these things that make big leaps. For instance, we started off looking at a GPS unit, right? Now I don't think there's a farm that doesn't have one. So it's one of those things that these will affect you, or you may be considering at some point. How do you take it? How do you maximize your operation with them without blowing a whole pile of cash on it? Because I'm sure some of the sticker shock that you guys have seen or talked about with the reps has maybe been, oh, I got to think about this. Got to plan more than ever, especially at a 7+% interest rate if you're going to borrow for it, right?
So I want to talk today about the Canadian Digital Adoption Program. This is a program that's put in place by the Canadian government that businesses can basically develop a digital adoption plan. So it is a grant of up to $15,000 to help small and medium-sized businesses embrace digital transformation. So one of the reasons that Canadian government is doing this is because they felt at the beginning of COVID, and especially when a lot of organizations were people were working from home and businesses were struggling, and a lot of businesses hadn't embraced digital transformation the way they should have. They felt Canadian businesses were lagging behind businesses from other countries. So the Canadian government came up with this grant, and it's a grant of up to $15,000 to help these organizations embrace digital transformation. So what does that mean? MMP can come in and help you develop a digital strategy, and it helps offset that cost to start to create your plan. You can use it to help better leverage modern technology to help automate and streamline processes to improve the optimization of your organization or your business. And then we can create a technology roadmap that can help solve challenges to assist with the growth and more profitability for the business. It is not, you can't use this grant money to actually implement systems. It's specifically for the digital strategy planning.
And it's something where it makes sense, because when we look at that, what your grocery list could look at of things that you want to do on your farm, your wish list, what you want to target next, it kind of feels like the graphic there. You got kind of scrambled. You have a lot that's going on, things that can be conflicting, and it's one more thing to spend money on is a plan, right? Plan your work and work your plan. It's going to lead you to the best success. And so without paying some sort of advisor or something, you're trying to figure it all on your own, it's really challenging and it's holding people back. So the government's trying to tailor that and provide a grant to cover the fees to get that done, to move more out of the 3/4 of the people who aren't willing to do anything, move them into that transformative level of organization and help fund it. And when you go ahead and you go down that road, you've got a plan you can execute. So
yeah. It's a great program for businesses who wouldn't have otherwise done any planning, but it's a good way for them to get into the planning really at a low cost. So who qualifies for CDAP? You must be incorporated federally, provincially, or be a Canadian resident sole proprietor. You have to have between 1 to 499 employees, be profit or a privately owned business. And the last one there, John, is to have at least $500,000 in avenue revenues in one of the previous 3 tax years.
So it catches the lion's share of kind of that heartbeat of Canada's small business, family farm enterprises.
So what do you get out of the CDAP program? In the end, you get a roadmap for the next 18 to 36 months that basically is going to guide the business in their digital transformation journey. And so in that plan, there could be information about actually have to implement different systems. Could be recommendations to implement inventory management systems, data analytics for field optimization, improve collaboration, operational efficiencies. We see a lot of times when we're working with our businesses, the operational inefficiencies where we're dual entry. Information has to be entered in more than one system, or other, and of course there's other operational efficiencies as well. Human resource management systems is something else that we see a lot out of. Now, one of the nice things about if you're a member of if you're a participant in the CDAP program, at the end of the the roadmap, when you determine what you're going to implement and the costs and the schedule and what systems you need to implement or hardware, software you need to purchase, you can qualify for a loan for up to $100,000 based on the size of your business. It's between $50,000 and $100,000 that you qualify for, and you can use that funding for for hardware, software, training of staff on new technologies, time and materials, if you needed to have somebody do some training or implementation, and you can use it for installation and purchase of new technologies and to help do that implementation. And it's really nice that it's interest-free with a term of 5 years, especially when the interest rates are much higher than that today.
And if you think about this, it's an interesting program because 30 years ago, when something as transformative GPS was out, you may be reluctant to take that on your farm, or whatever that next thing is as you wander the halls and go through the booths. What's that next thing you want to bring out on your farm? And you go, well, I got to figure out a way to pay for that. Do I put it on my input line? Do I sell a bunch of grain and cover it? What's the leap I'm going to make? With something like this, it helps cover it, and boy, I think a lot of people would take that offer years ago when they're making some of these big investments. Now, 100 grand doesn't seem like a lot, especially when you start looking at the price of some of the things, but it certainly helps. And interest-free, so it's 5 plus an extra year of implementation, so you got 6 years interest-free at today's rates at prime. That's like $43,000 of interest you're not paying on acquiring that next transformative piece of equipment, or implementing, or paying for someone to kind of put in a grain handling system, or you name it. Like it's such an open-ended program, and that's why the assessment's good, is because it goes through and does a big discovery process of what that next thing is and what that next series of things are for your business. So we'll look at a few examples of what we've done with this. Everything from large-scale retail, manufacturers, everyone. A few kind of snapshot of cases we've done. One of them was a supply company for ag inputs. We got them an inventory dashboard, and we see this often. You've got people are running with enterprise level software, or they're a patchwork of different, Excels and lists and paper things and what people have in their head. It was the system that they were using was really limiting for them. They couldn't get that, click of a button dashboard for what they had on hand at a given time, right? Solution we put in over a period of 4 months, implemented different tools and processes that all talk with another, and then some Power BI reporting, which is a kind of an aggregator of pulling all the data out of all the different systems and tools to help get a report that, as business owners, you can do something with and make a decision with. Because if it's bad data in and it's badly managed, then the report or anything that comes out of it is also garbage, right? So it helped them eliminate inventory shortages during busy seasons, eliminated overbuying, which is a huge use of capital, improved their confidence in buying and selling, because they knew what was coming down the pipe, what they had, what they could commit to, what they could deliver, what they couldn't.
And the next example is for a livestock marketing organization, and where we help them with technology and assessment and strategy. One of the challenges that our client was having, that they were having multiple security breaches and cyber attempts, where they recently lost $500,000 in a phishing attack. And if you don't know what a phishing attack is, so that's when you've got people sending attackers are sending emails, and they might have, but the emails look like they're coming from a valid source. They make it look like the email's coming from your bank, and then inside that link is inside that email there's a link, but it's not actually a link to your bank. It's a link to something that the attacker set up. So it's very easy to fall for it, because these are very sophisticated attacks. And you open up the email, it looks like it's something from your bank. So it looks like it's coming from RBC. It says click here, and then because they're looking for people to slip in their security. So it's very easy to fall into. So you've got an RBC, something looks like RBC, and they transfer $500,000. It's very easy.
Happens a lot more than you think,
yep,
and it's terrifying.
Yeah, I had a client last week. I do a lot of work with governments and First Nations across the country, and I had a client. They lost $4 million in a phishing attack. So this stuff happens. And
they phone us and they go, what next? Okay, well, too little too late in that case. Let's get a plan for preventing this down the road. And we're seeing situations too where, if you're talking with your insurance agent, or business interruption insurance, or those sorts of things in your enterprise, you're going to start seeing things in there that, have you got an adequate plan in place to prevent cyber incidents? Have you done what you need to for firewalls and training and all those things to manage your business to get that coverage, right? It's becoming such a rampant thing that people are, being victimized all the time, and it's a huge source of loss. So there's an ownership as a business owner, to make sure that you're managing risks like this.
On that, if you can go back one slide there, John.
Yeah.
So on that digital assessment strategy, they also are having issues with their different software systems that they had. it was very difficult to manage it. They had multiple systems. It wasn't integrated very well. So we went into the IT assessment and strategy, made some recommendations on their cybersecurity and their ERP, and helped them implement a new accounting system to solve a lot of these different business challenges that they're having.
Yeah. We worked with Rocky Mountain Equipment to help with their accounts receivable automation. So even a large-scale enterprise like this, to try and collect on the receivables, there was a lot of manual data entry, a lot of people involved to make that work. 15 person hours equivalent across 3 time people a day to enter and update and manage. So it's something when you don't know what you don't know sometimes in your business, and you get used to it. It's how it is, how we've always done it. You don't take a critical look and go, there's a system we can do to help this, and free those people up to do other value-added things. So we did a current state analysis, looked at the processes, what could be automated, what tool exists, what are they using already, what could they weave into their business, and run with it. They saved 5,450 person hours a year. They're now looking at additional engagement with us to help. Okay, what's that next thing that we need to look at? And they took that one good look at it, took a step back, and realized it was a significant impact on their business in a positive way. One of the biggest things is when we see, and I've alluded to it earlier too, you walk around and you see all these different things, and you as folks in agribusiness and farming, you have all of these different systems and different integration levels and different tie-ins with your business, and does it all talk with one another? Does it all make sense? Or you're running 5 or 6 different monitors, all these lovely things that you're trying to track down and manage, and everything from weather to your inputs from your agronomy team and what you're trying to manage in your inventory, your marketing decisions. You got, your equipment set and all of those things. How do we get that all into? Is there a way we can get that into an easier to manage, easier to provide you with relevant data to make good decisions with? And that's a possibility. We can do that. And then it's from that you build on the success of that, all working, all talking and functioning together. What does that free you up to? Where does that go? Pretty limitless.
And the key thing there is to plan. Start that planning process, and
yeah.
we can help you do that planning process.
And it's understanding and having us and Steve's team the knowledgeable expertise of how all that works. Where what else have we seen? What experience can we bring to the mix and help with that? Okay. If you have any questions, everyone will have a phone in their pocket. That's why combines drive themselves, so you can play on your phone now, right? So there's the innovation. Take your phone out, get the camera app, snap a picture, and follow up with us, and we'll be happy to talk about what's next for your operation, how we can get a seed app in place for you and get some of that funding in place of interest-free, and get a plan and roadmap for you so that you can proceed confidently. Steve and I will be at the top for a little while. After this, we'll be at the booth on the east side of the concourse of the arena. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.